Hello everyone, welcome to Retro Recreation. Just saying, if I sound a little bit odd, it's because I have sinuses. My sinuses tend to be a little bit more, so hope you guys forgive me. Today's background that I'm recreating is the Shinra company's meeting room. As the meeting room was pretty straightforward and simple, I also included making the vent scene where Cloud and Tifa climbed up through the vents to spy on the Shinra personnel. Since it was pretty simple, just taking the finished scene and placing a vent on top and playing with the light to get that gold rays. I haven't played the original game in a few years, to be honest. I've played Remake and Rebirth, and honestly speaking, when I saw the scene, I didn't think it was actually the Shinra meeting room because I didn't even remember this background very well, to be honest. Most likely because I thought the remake did the Shinra building really nice. The Shinra building looked really futuristic. I loved the dark scheme and the music, the background music in Remake. For me, the Shinra building was very peaceful, comforting in terms of feeling I had. So I actually enjoyed the Shinra building quite a bit. Remaking this background, I saw the Shinra meeting room after a few years. I've not seen it. I was confused. I could not remember for the life of me what the Shinra meeting room looked like in the original game. So I was actually surprised on seeing what it looked like and scrutinizing every bit of detail on figuring out on how to recreate this scene. Seeing the carpets, the chairs, the very hard chairs, and seeing the computer monitors and whatnot. And visually, I really like the huge window in the back where it gives me like sundown, and to me, I'm thinking the flames of Sector 7, the debris and the fires and whatnot, probably changing the hue of the sky. That's what I think, of course, or like to assume, to just give it a bit more of a interesting dynamic in my mind. For the computers, I had a model of a old computer that I've done, and I took it and I thought the computer would probably fit pretty well in the scene, so I did some editing on the computer and placed it in the hub and just generated some wires so we can just showcase this middle piece. And of course I wanted the columns on the walls to have that metallic feel, that metallic look, which I thought would probably be pretty interesting, as well as those light chandeliers. I used the second image, which is the vent image, to try to figure out the space, and since I'm only working with one image, it's pretty difficult to tell the spacing and the dimensions. So with the overhead, it was pretty helpful in just trying to gauge how the scene fit and how it worked within my model. So my placing was a little bit more precise, and since that was precise, everything was a little bit more straightforward in my scene. So it didn't take a lot of readjusting or refixing and shuffling to get the right look and the right dimensions. I really wanted to fix those chairs a bit, make it a little bit more comfortable, but trying to keep the game as accurate as possible. I decided to work with the very bulky and very uncomfortable looking chairs. So all in all, this scene was pretty simple and pretty straightforward to rebuild. One of the only changes I actually made was the outside. I didn't want to give it that purple hue too much because I decided to leave the purple hue behind and just do an evening shot instead, using the sunset and more reds instead of the purples. More yellows and reds instead of the deep purples and pinks. Just, I guess, my preference in terms of evenings. Used coronarender for this scene, and I would not use any other renderer because I just love the simplicity of Corona to get working materials and the quality of renders, and I just love the VDB, which gives me so much post-processing. But if there's one thing I really like about Final Fantasy VII, it always throws you a curveball. When I reached into the Shinra Towers and you had a spy where everyone is in the conference room and you wanted to spy on what's going on, you automatically assume that you'll try to either break in or try to sneak in somewhere, which I didn't think would actually be the toilets. I did not think the solution was the toilets, where the scent of the toilets were actually going through the ducts and coming through to the meeting room, which was a pretty funny coincidence, or a pretty funny structural detail, because you were seeing this impressive work of art, this huge technology, this highly advanced building. How the ducting works is not that very advanced, and it just has such a ridiculous problem associated with it. I am actually editing the audio for this today, the same day I'm releasing this, and I've just watched the Summer Game Fest 2026. They've now introduced the new Final Fantasy Revelation, which is very interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. They've shown a few things. You finally get to play Vincent and you finally get to play Sid. I really hope they show Sid's story with Rocket Town, which would be such an interesting thing because it takes you out of space, and I would really love to see how they would tackle that exact scene and tackle huge material. Spoiler alert, of course. So I'm really looking forward to the whole Revelation. So Revelation showed that you can easily fly about the world and drop off, which sounds really fun. And you get whole new places. I really hope it's really big places because I just love exploration. It looks really, really fun. Going down different directions, and I really am happy to see which directions they're going to. Yeah, of course, one thing that I really hope they do is cover the entire story of Final Fantasy VII and don't leave out certain tidbits or certain storylines, because I really would love to see the whole thing play out, and I don't know if they can incorporate that entire several discs of storyline into the gameplay, and I really hope they do that, and I really hope they add on more of the Midgar, to be honest, because I really enjoy Final Fantasy Remake. I didn't know how much I enjoyed it until my third playthrough. I've played through this game many times, and I enjoy every single playthrough. It just so nostalgic, and it didn't take away anything of the story but added on more to what I wanted, and it was such a fantastic experience. I really hope that story will be vast, and it will hopefully have everything I'm looking for. And of course, I will always ask to please like, share, subscribe, and comment to help support the growth of the channel. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed. Either way, thank you very much for watching.